Hey there, Knicks fans. How you doing? It's your boy, Jonathan Macri, with you for another episode of the Knicks Film School Podcast, where, don't worry, you can boo as much as you want over the course of this episode, and we will not say anything to you. Boo to your heart's content. Jeremy Cohen, even you can boo me on this episode if you'd like. Would you like
to? Boo.
That was a half-hearted. Do you? I think we've talked about it. Maybe if we have, I don't remember it. Are you someone that boos players at games?
Not really. It's not like I feel like I'm above it or anything. If they're like I would boo the hell out of Joe Judge. I would have actually gone to pay money to boo Joe Judge. But no, in general, I try not to boo because I do remember that they are people too at the end of the day. But I also can't begrudge other people and say, like, how dare you boo? They're paying customers if they feel the need to do it, and that is their opinion, and I respect that. So I fall on the side where it's like, okay, yeah, this person sucks, but I'll probably just be a little internal about it.
Okay. I don't boo. I've never booed. It's I don't know. I don't understand the point of it. That said, as we'll get into, I guess, in a minute, I do fall on one side of this argument, and it ain't on Julius Randle's side. But we'll get there soon. So we start, as we always do, with the week that was, and I was curious how. So Andrew Claudio, shout out to Andrew, who's in the background here. He always sets up our run through, and I was curious how he was going to do it, because I was thinking about this week that was. I'm like, 2-1. And I feel like we've had this conversation about 2 or 3 times this year where it's like, man, this should feel better than it does. But no, it doesn't. It actually feels much worse. It's like, and here we are. We're sitting with a team that is a bad team. They're under 500. They're 2 games under 500. And they just won 2 games, and they lost a game. And the game that they lost, they were missing several players, and like it was playing a desperate team and the whole thing. And yet we sit here and it's like, okay, are we going to be enthusiastic over the course of this podcast? I mean, I don't know. Are you feeling very enthusiastic about this team right now, Mr. Cohen?
All I'll say is I'm very tired of us seeing 2-0 weeks followed by a loss and then us having to record, because this seems to be a pattern. It's frustrating.
It does.
No, it's very tough to feel positive, despite the fact that, again, it's like they won 2 out of 3 games. They're heading in a positive direction. And it's just every game feels so volatile. It's like cryptocurrency. It's like it's up and then it's down. You're dead. And then it's up again. And it's great. And there's just no equilibrium here. But that's the thing. We've talked about this easy slate of games, and the Knicks did their part, right? They went 2-1.
Yeah.
If they had gone anything under that, we would be having a very different conversation. I think we can have this a little bit more. We could talk about it being better than we would have thought, maybe. Well, not necessarily me. I thought they would win at least 1 game, but in the sense of it's trending in the right direction in the result, but the process then doesn't feel great, which goes back to the conversation we had last week in a lot of ways, where they went 2-2, but those 2 wins seemed like real. You had to really pull for them. And then the 2 losses were just ugly. This, of course, Julius has been playing, but it just doesn't feel good. You're at a spot where the Knicks, sure, you could look at last year's record and be like, well, they're really not far off from it. But you could then also look at the competition, and you could look at the fact that even though Julius Randle's stats are similar in a lot of ways, the shooting is not there. And in a make or miss league, if you're not going to hit shots, then you're not going to hit shots. You're not going to win.
It's well phrased. And there's a lot of things hovering over the season. And I think the fact that we go back and forth about so many different things on this podcast, and like get into I'd like to think we get into the nitty gritty of this team. And yet at the end of the day, this team was supposed to be led by 2 guys. And if you want to extend it past that, 4 guys, the Randle and RJ being the first 2 guys, and then the next 2 being the 2 big offseason additions, Fournier and Kemba. And it's really hard to craft, with all due respect to Kemba Walker's Player of the Week campaign, and with all due respect to RJ Barrett's game-winning shot, and he did have a nice game against Indiana, which we'll talk about. It's really hard to feel positive about any of those four players individually through 40 games of the season. And it's really hard to feel even harder, actually, to feel good about those four players collectively, or even like any two of those players or three players. Like there is no combination. It's like, well, at least when player X and player Y, just speaking of those four, play together, like we know good things are going to happen. Like maybe that's true of Fournier and Walker. We don't really know. I mean, the week started with RJ and Randle having their best collective game together as Knicks against Indiana. So that was cool. But then they followed it up with what they followed it up with, and it leaves a bit of a sour taste, does it not?
It does. And I think considering the Indiana game where, again, they're missing a lot of their players, but then you have Sykes, who earned himself a new contract, which is great for him. He was playing.
He deserves it.
100%. And then the fact of, was it a remarkable win that the Knicks had against the Celtics? 100%. They came back from 26, 25 down, and we got to live that and enjoy the reactions. And it was a lot of fun. But then you look at the process of the game, and I feel like it says a lot more about the Celtics and their ability to consistently implode in the second half of games, especially the fourth quarter, than it does so much about the Knicks being able to be this comeback dominant team. So I view that win in a vacuum on its own as a great win. But then when you kind of tinker with it and what it all represents, it's a little concerning. And then the next game, Boston is going to be desperate. The fact that they want to win at home after losing on a buzzer beater to the same team. What happens? You post 75 points. And yes, was Evan Fournier the guy who is responsible for killing the Celtics? Even when the Knicks have lost one of those games, he wasn't there. Really shouldn't matter. You should score more than 75 points. And they certainly didn't.
Yes, an NBA team should score more than 75 points.
Yes. Especially in this
correct
era.
Statement. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. But, I thought that the nice thing about Julius was in the first half, or really the first quarter, honestly, he looked so aggressive, especially in transition, like pushing the pace, facilitating. I thought that was the Julius that we want to see. And then it slows down and it gums up everything. And it's just tough to watch that type of basketball. As we've said before, it hasn't been enjoyable basketball in general. And so, the fact that we are halfway through the season, pretty much, and we don't really know what this team is other than it's just not consistent and not a great team, not a good team. It's an average team that's not playing like average. It's kind of how it feels to me, at least.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people have hit on that here. And I think that's not, this is a Knicks podcast, so I don't want to go too outside the box here, but I feel like there are a lot of NBA cities where that sentiment is taking hold, where there's a lot of fan bases out there who are like, if only there was just some consistency of play, we would be happier. When the reality is, like, again, go talk to people in Boston, go talk to people in Minnesota, go talk to people in Atlanta, go talk to people who are, in Indiana, go talk to people who are, in Washington, right? Like these teams are all, some are a game or two above 500, some are a game or two below 500. Like I'm missing obviously Western teams, Denver, the Lakers. I'm sure some other obvious ones I'm forgetting, but it's like, I feel like a lot of these teams have the same frustrations. And I wonder how much of that has to do with just, this is a weird season. And it's not that the Knicks are that unique. It's that it's just, this is the NBA this year.
It's that. And also I think naturally we kind of view life as like, we're the protagonist of the story. So this is our team and we follow our team and our team is disappointing. Well, fans of the other teams you've listed and more could say we're in the same boat and view their teams as incredibly disappointing. I like the mood for the Celtics fans. I was looking through mentions of just
oh my God
team accounts and and people who follow and closely the team. And it's just like, they feel dead. And I can't say I blame them because they have a window to contend and they're not getting the job done. Whereas the Knicks window, like, is even a window. It feels like it's a carved out hole where the window should be. and you have to put glass in there. But once you do, there's a window. It then closes after that. So it's just, and that's the other thing with seeing teams, right? Like the discourse as we approach the trade deadline of, I want this player, I want that player. It's always the grass is green. The grass is always greener. That's the mentality. You don't follow these players necessarily as closely as you do your own team, and your own team is stinking up the joint. And yet you look at these guys and it's like, well, they seem great in comparison. Well, maybe if you follow them, they're not that great. Maybe they're just okay, but because the fact that they seem better and you don't watch them on a daily basis or a nightly basis or a game basis, whatever you want to call it, they automatically seem like these coveted options, and they just may not be. So it's just something to keep in mind, especially with the parity, because right now you could look at the league and 24 teams or so are in the playoff chase because of the play-in.
I would extend that to, you're putting New Orleans on the outside.
I am for now, but they've been playing.
I was about to say they've been pretty feisty.
They've been feisty. It's not great for my under 39 and a half. It's getting, I'm sweating it out a little bit more than I thought I was going to.
I think you're safe there.
I'll prevail.
I think you'll prevail.
Yeah.
No, look, you nailed it. And just to kind of really put a capper on this week. I mean, look, was it a good week? Was it a bad week? I will say this. Look, they went 2-1. They held a couple teams under 100 points. By the way, you want to know what the Knicks, and this is, you want to talk about a disingenuous stat. I'm saying up front, this is a disingenuous stat. Knicks net rating over the last 10 games, ranking league-wide.
Net ranking over the last 10 games?
Not net rating for, defensive rating, specifically defensive rating.
Well, considering how they held the Pistons to 85 and the Wolves to 87 or something, 84 is low. I'm going to say that over the last 10 games, it's like 8th.
Third.
Wow.
Yeah. 105.8 trails only the Dallas Mavericks, who don't look now. Yeah. The Mavericks are playing well. And of course the Memphis Grizzlies, who are have looked like the best team in basketball over the last 3-4 weeks. The Knicks are third. And again, it's a disingenuous stat because they've played a lot of teams in there that are not, I don't know how else to say it, are not real teams. At the same time, you go look at, even in Brooklyn today, it's, speak of the devil, the Spurs coming in here tomorrow night or tonight, as you're listening to this, are missing like more than half the rotation. They go put up 117 or 18 or whatever it is on Brooklyn. You had the Pacers. Well, again, I'm thinking about Brooklyn. You had the Pacers team that we held to whatever. Go put. Maybe it's just Brooklyn sucks or can't defend anybody. I think that's what it is.
Could just be.
The point is, you do see results around the league where undermanned teams are putting up a lot of points. So I'm going to give them like the smallest sliver of the benefit of the doubt here that they have turned around the thing that has frustrated the most fans early on, which is the defense was awful. They've turned that around a little bit.
You can only play who's on your schedule.
Exactly.
And if we were sitting here talking about, the Knicks are 10th, we'd say, okay, 10th is good, but think about it. Look how easy the schedule was. And they're like 9 teams ahead of them, but instead it's only 2. I think that's a testament to what they've done over the last 10 games. And yet we still don't feel overly confident, which is crappy.
And it's funny because another positive, they're in the 10th seed right now. As things stand, they have, they had the buzzer beater. And yet to me, I could forgive. I don't want to call it a no-show job in Boston because I feel like the offense got stagnant. And I think Thibs even said it after the game, like Quickly was great in the first half. He needs to be more aggressive in the second half. And I think you saw with Quickly's lack of aggression, that's why the offense got bogged down. And, the fact that they didn't completely let go of the rope, they fought into the fourth quarter, even though they weren't hitting anything and Boston was all over them. Like I could forgive that. I could forgive some of the minutes issues, which we'll get into in a bit. I'll save that stuff for a moment from now. The Randle thing puts it on the wrong side of the median for me. And I say that as someone who doesn't really care that much about what he said. But just, I don't know. Last year's team was so likable. We loved that team, Jeremy. Andrew, can I bring in? Did you love last year's team, Andrew?
One of my favorite single seasons rooting for this basketball team of my entire life. Yes.
Or any sports team, I would imagine.
Yes.
You root for all the teams, right? Yeah.
Yes. And as we've chronicled, not a lot of fun individual seasons I've had to root for. So obviously ranks up there. Shout out to the New York Jets, who are on their way to a 4-13 record as we speak.
Yes. Shout out to that. What are the Giants? What's the Giants' final record?
Also 4-13.
Okay. So maybe not a lot of competition for best seasons of our lifetime or among them.
I've seen two of my teams win championships.
Jeremy has arguably the best Super Bowl victory of all time in Super Bowl 42. So
honestly, two of them.
That's fair.
But the first one,
the best. I mean, yeah. I'm not saying the second one trumps the first one, but
I mean, when you win so many, it's tough to put them in order. Right?
Who can count, right?
Well, okay. So you've had a little bit more success, Jeremy, than Andrew and me, but I think you would agree also one of your favorite seasons, right?
It was my favorite Knicks season by far.
Okay.
Which I mean, I know the bar is low, but even still, all right, I'll put it this way. In terms of all the seasons I've watched of my four favorite sports teams, I'd say the Knicks are top three.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. And we loved that team. We loved that season. We loved everything about it, to the point that, like, you know, there were some people who were not willing to look past the performance against Atlanta. I think for us, as much as that was a downer, it did not sully the greater picture. And now to come to this season where we've had the questions about this team that we've had in terms of like effort and all the stuff that made us love them last year. To have it come to this where, again, it's not the thing that he did on the court, which was shouting at the crowd and putting the thumbs down and the whole thing. But to then double down and be like, no, I'm going to make it very clear afterwards what I meant. And then to take it one final step to put, and look, people, I feel bad almost bringing this issue up because I want to move on from it. And I'm sure everybody listening to this wants to move on from it. But to put out a thing where you say all kinds of words about why you did what you did and you love New York and this and that, and never actually apologize. Like, maybe it's just me, but it's like Julius Randle comes off in this whole thing to me looking like, I don't want to say kind of a dick, but kind of a dick, and a guy who is just completely and totally lost in his own head. And for me, the Knicks basketball fan who just wants his team to win, it is disconcerting to me that the best player is a player right now who I just have no confidence in the world that he's in the right headspace to be the best player on a basketball team that is trying to do something good this season. Exhibit A, his performance coming off of his rant. Like, if he came out against Boston in Boston and had a great game and they lost, I'd be like, you know what? He got out whatever he needed to get out. God bless him. Let's move on our merry way. To come out and then shit the bed is like, I think that for me, all of that together, I'm sorry if that was a little long-winded, but that all together is why, no, this is not a great week for me as a Knicks fan. That's my 2 cents.
I also just don't care for this topic because it doesn't matter to me, but
it doesn't matter.
Seeing as how we're talking about it, I think that looking at what Randle did and what he said, it's not that bad. And then you consider the fact that when Clyde was booed, he basically was like, yeah, I think that's worthy. I've been better and I have not been myself. They have the right to do that. You look at Jeter, he's booed. Jeter saying, yeah, I deserve to be booed. I mean, I don't look good. They have every right to do it. And you look at Randle and he goes the opposite direction. And I just think that when we think of captains and leaders, and we kind of imagine there's a level of rising above it, not sinking below. And we all have moments of weakness, right? Especially the idea of where if I were in that position, I had all these people screaming at me, I probably would say the same thing too.
I'm right there with you. He's human. This reminded us he's human. That's all he is.
Exactly. But I do think that is a false equivalency to be like, well, how do you feel if someone did that at your job? My job, I don't have 18,600 people pay to attend to watch me, write emails and call people. That's not what happens. You can't make those comparisons. They're completely different. If I'm making $21 million and people are booing me, it's a very different situation. And I think that's just kind of what it goes to, where it hammers home this point of he's not a number one star, but he's also not a number one star kind of as the face of the team. Yeah. But right now he is the face of the team because if RJ can't rise above it and be better than him, it's still going to be Julius Randle. And until RJ Barrett has a better season than what we saw Julius Randle have before until he takes the mantle from him, it's going to be on Julius's shoulders. And that's the thing. If he says, I want to win in New York, he's got to be prepared to lose in New York. Unfortunately, we want to see him win, but you can't take all the blame. I'm sorry. You can't take the credit and say that's on me. And then when things go bad, displace it in some way or not take it internally. A good leader says, we did this well in times of success, and in times of failure, they take it on themselves and say, I need to do a better job of this. And if I had people, hundreds, if not thousands of people celebrating that I got COVID, I would probably want to boo you too. But
yes, that part of it was, if that's the genesis of it, I want to be very clear. And I've said this already. I'll say it one more time. If that's the genesis of it, I completely understand. I don't think that's personally, this is a complete assumption. I don't think that's the whole genesis of why he did what he did.
But see, it came to a head shortly after that. Like, think about how many fans have been booing him or at least showing their disapproval of him leading up to this point, right? Yeah. And he seems completely unfazed. And again, he was saying, I don't really care about social media, which, again, I understand he's asked the question, but chances are if you say that, part of you does care about social media. We're human. We want to be lauded and we want approval and we want to know we're doing something well. And for the case with him, it's like, again, people were tweeting out about the fact that they were happy he got COVID. And he came back for Indiana and the game went really well. Yeah. And then the next game it didn't. And I think that's where it was a breaking point, where it was suddenly, like, all right, screw this, all those good feelings that I gave you last year, what I did yesterday or 2 days ago against the Pacers, like all of that means nothing to you. And honestly, to a degree, yes and no. No, it does mean something because we just talked about the fact that last season holds a very near and dear place in our hearts. But also, yes, because this is New York and you're just as good as yesterday's newspaper. And it's not disrespect. It's just you have to keep striving. And if you're not striving beforehand, then you got to work on it. People are booing. I don't want to call it constructive criticism, but it's criticism. It's feedback. And if you can't take the feedback, that's a problem.
It's not booing. And maybe I'm giving our fan base too much credit here. It's not booing missed shots. It's not booing when the other team just is taking a big lead because they're making miraculous bucket after miraculous bucket. The booing is the genesis of the booing is a lack of not execution as much as a lack of caring as much as they did last season, or that is the appearance. That is what the appearance is that, do they actually not care as much? I have no idea. None of us have any idea, but it sure as shit seems like a lot of the games they go out there and there just isn't the amount of effort that there was.
It's effort. But one more thing, if Julius were a homegrown player, we probably wouldn't be responding to him in this way.
Yeah. Well,
but the fact that he's a hired gun, the emotional appeal isn't like that. They're very different roles, right? Because Emmanuel Quickley is not the All-NBA reigning MIP player.
No.
But in the beginning of the season, Emmanuel Quickley, he couldn't hit anything. Could have fallen out of a boat and hit water. He wasn't booed, but there was still this kind of discourse of he sucks, which shouldn't have been the case because he had struggled the year before and we know he's a good player. But it's not like it got to the point of a boo. And with him, at least he shows that effort. And it goes back to what I was saying last week. We as fans, we want to be entertained. We want to see effort. If we put the effort in watching it, we hope we get a good product, at least where we know you're trying.
Yep.
And that's the problem. It's when it's the forcing of it. And the Pacers game, that's why it was also the team around him just wasn't hitting shots, but he played spectacularly. And then it kind of falls on the shoulders. Nothing has clicked, it feels like, or maybe one game this whole year where everything's clicking into place. And last year, it just felt like everyone was clicking in on the same page for a 3 to 4 week stretch. Even when they lost games, it felt like the process was good.
And even before that, even when they were losing early, there was a sense that there was the team, they fought, they battled. And whereas, but again, that's the difference. Is it's like he really liked being the best player on a good team, but you can't have it. You have to do both. You can't pick and choose when you're going to be a leader. Which leads us to another leader of this team, Tom Thibodeau. So Andrew wanted us to have a quick chat about this. So I was asked after the game on Saturday, after the Boston game in Boston, what my grade for Thibs would be for this season. And I think I said I gave him either a C or a C plus. Andrew, does that check out?
You gave him a C or a C plus. Yes.
A C or a C plus.
I got to be honest. In the moment, I was like, oh no, he's going to give him like a A minus, and their comments are going to be worse than they have ever been. It's funny, Jeremy, you said that you don't get booed at your job by 18,000 people, because it seems like that's what we deal with after every post game, at least this season, at least.
Wouldn't know. The team's undefeated when I do it.
That's the thing. We need to let Jeremy do all the post games until they lose, and it'll just be applause.
So yeah, and look, my justification for that was like, there's a handful or maybe a little bit more than that of coaches doing a really spectacular job this year. There's been a couple of coaches that you could probably say are going out of their way and doing a poor job. Although I guess Luke Walton has already been fired. I don't really know who else is like doing. Like I think most coaches are fine, and it's, can you rise above and be better than fine? And those are the 5 to 10 names that find themselves in the Coach of the Year conversation at the end of every season. Thibs has not done that. He has not risen above, because for as much as we can blame Julius Randle and Evan Fournier and Kemba Walker and RJ Barrett for poor performance this season, he's coaching all of them. And it is up to him to figure it out, or try to figure out how to make the pieces mesh. They haven't meshed. There hasn't been a consistency of effort. The minutes stuff is the stuff that me personally, I don't get on him about. But in terms of the performance, like, if you're going to be praised for how your team plays and win Coach of the Year because of how your team exceeds expectations, you should also be knocked for the lack of that. So, Jeremy Cohen, what is your grade for Tom Thibodeau this year?
So I do have a grade in mind, but I'm first going to pose the question: what or who has Tom Thibodeau optimized this year? Who really looks better than they did last season?
I have an answer for that.
You have an answer for that?
Well, finish your question.
Well, no, I mean, and there are certainly new faces as well, right? But it does not feel like anyone has taken a step forward in the sense that he has then rewarded them for it as well, right? Like Julius has fallen down to earth. And I understand that when you are an all-NBA player and an all-star, you get the benefit of the doubt. And when you lean heavily on your veterans, you're going to play them. But I also see Obi Toppin playing under the equivalent of a quarter for a couple games in a row, and the inability to at least try more so of 4 and 5 with Obi and Randle. The fact that quickly it took him so long to at least put him into the starting rotation, that it wasn't working with Kemba, and the whole thing of how that was handled, it just didn't look good at all. The fact that Evan Fournier struggles quite a bit. Yep. And even with all of that being said, it's like there's no real reining it in outside of, well, we're not going to play down the stretch because we can't trust you. RJ just not playing well. And sure, I mean, as you said, it's the fact that Thibs isn't playing. These guys are playing for him. But it just seems to me that no one is meshing, as you said earlier. And how can you reward a coach where no one is really meshing and you can't find the right contributions outside of Derrick Rose, who is just Derrick Rose?
I'm not looking to reward him.
Not you specifically, of course, but like, how can one reward him in that?
Yeah. I mean, look, if you want to find positive arguments for Thibs, I think they are there to be found. Ostensibly the 5 most important players on the team coming into this season were Randle, Fournier, Walker, RJ, and Derrick Rose. To me, the way that RJ and Randle in particular have played, I have trouble putting that on Thibs. Fournier and certainly Walker, because of the benching especially, I think there's more of an argument there. Although, again, I'm not sure what he should have done. Although then again, you listen to Fournier's comments after the Boston win, in which he says, well, we don't know what our offense is going to look like on any given night, because it depends on like who's going to get hot. Like, this team does not have a pecking order. I think it's pretty clear. Or the pecking order that exists, which is like Julius is number one. Like, that's not really the case either, because this whole season has been about him sharing more. And then the fifth guy, Rose, has been injured now for almost a third of the season.
But we talked about that as a strength at the beginning of the year. And now
it hasn't like been. It's a weakness.
Failure. Right.
Yeah. And that is, whether it's 50-50 on the players and the coach, 60-40, 40-60 the other way, it's shared responsibility. To just answer your question briefly before, I think Immanuel Quickley has gotten better. I think he has optimized Immanuel Quickley. And I think actually, and this is where people are just going to fucking kill me, but I'm going to say it anyway. I don't care. There is an argument for playing guys in roles that they can be successful in. And it has changed now that Derrick Rose has gone out with an injury and that they've had to move some more players into the starting lineup. But Obi Toppin looked like the greatest thing since sliced bread for 30 games or whatever it was. And he's had some other moments since then, but there is a clear drop off when he is not playing with Derrick Rose, and to a certain extent when he's not playing with Immanuel Quickley. That to me, like the fact that everybody wanted Obi Toppin to be in the starting lineup and play more minutes, that's a sign that his coach is using him properly. And then you now see him in some other games where he's being shut down by other teams. And when he was in, with more was relied upon for him, the production wasn't quite there or wasn't as impressive. To me, that's a sign that Thibs was actually using him the right way as well. And that more is, less is maybe more. More is whatever it is. But yeah,
less is more.
The
whole backup quarterback analogy that he had.
Exactly.
I thought I'm fine with Obi backing Randle up. I just want to see him get more minutes, period. Get close to that, at least 16, 18 minutes a game around that threshold.
But that gets back to the philosophical, and shout out to Fred Katz who said it on this pod last week. It is Thibs' basketball religion to have a rim protector in there. Agree with him, disagree with him. That is at least it is a grounded philosophy, right? It is a grounded philosophy with reasons to have that philosophy. So really it comes down to, are you taking away Julius Randle's minutes to play Obi Toppin? And that gets back to the elephant in the room of this whole season, which is that, do you punish Julius Randle for being a shitty basketball player, which he has been for a lot of this year? Or do you lean even further into this to try to get him to be better, which has not worked thus far, which again, fair criticism of Thibs, but at least I understand where he's coming from.
Sure. But I think it also depends on the night. Some nights you feel like Randle can get it going. Other nights you feel like maybe Obi should get more time. And I just feel like that hasn't happened quite a bit. It's almost every time been, I'm going to roll with the known quantity or the known, player, even though he's not. But that's the thing. You give him the benefit of the doubt because he has earned it. And you look at Obi and he's trying to earn it. But then it feels like, chicken and the egg. How do you earn it? But at the end of the day, you have to create a spot where you can force your way into it. But Obi is also blocked, because if Randle's going to consistently be better, how is he supposed to get in there when he can't even be with Randle playing significant minutes?
Can I just throw one thing out there real quick?
Sure.
I think the fairest criticism of Thibs is his offensive philosophy, which is create advantages through matchups, where you are putting your best players in positions to create matchup advantages and have them make plays off of that, and have your other players make plays off of the plays that your best players make, right? Mm-hmm. That is not the most sophisticated offensive philosophy. It is Thibs' philosophy that I think if you look throughout his time coaching, it has had more success than not. This is a team that does not have the most offensive talent. Last season, he turned a guy who you would have considered, the 60th or 70th best offensive player in the NBA, and he made him into a whatever he was, Julius Randle. This season, it's turned back into a pumpkin again. So if you want to criticize him for not adjusting more on the fly, as it were, I guess that's fair. But like, that to me is the fair criticism. What prompted me to say that, and then again, I'll turn it back to you, is Obi does not create advantages. He's not that type of player. If Obi went out there and in his 5 or 6 or 7 minute stint, he drew 2 or 3 doubles and made some passes or made some buckets on one-on-ones, but that's not his game. So essentially, when people are critiquing the decision to play Obi less and play Randle more, to me, that says you need to change your entire offensive philosophy in terms of how you run a team, which, you know what? Maybe that's a fair critique. I don't know. I don't know.
But the thing is, Obi does create advantages in transition where he's able to use his explosiveness to create offense that way. And additionally, he's one of the few guys who actually cuts on this team, especially of the big men. And so his constant movement is at least drawing the attention away from the ball handler. And that's the thing. Teams want to get Randle in isolation, and Randle wants to get in isolation, but it doesn't mean that it's going to work out that way. And that's why teams
not this year, at least,
to be in isolation. And I think that's the thing. It's about kind of spreading that talent in other directions, which is why you would hope down the line, it's okay, well, we're going to use Randle and his salary and whatever assets it takes to get someone who's more of a backcourt player who can then command in that way and even out your roster. And then you would hope by that point where, okay, Obi maybe is more of a better half court player. He's not going to be drawing doubles necessarily, but he will be further along his development curve to do something. But again, right now, it's just tough when Derrick Rose is out, when Kemba Walker is out, when you're signing Arcidiacono, even though he's injured, which again, it's to me, that's probably just, hey, we'll give you money to be here. And if we can do it long-term, fine, why wait? Or it could be a favor, whatever it is, it doesn't really matter. But the point being, it's that Thibs could point to the personnel and say, well, I don't really trust Deuce to run an offense because he's a rookie. And I just don't trust rookies that often. And so that's why you have Alec Burks playing in a role that he shouldn't necessarily be in. And then everything kind of just devolves from there. And it's unfortunate that Derrick Rose is out because he really is hurting the Knicks by not being there more than we would like. And then Obi suffers as a result, and it's harder to do.
And also the other thing, and by the way, I just to correct myself or go back on something I just said, there is no team in the NBA that succeeds offensively without having a guy who create advantages. Golden State Warriors, Utah Jazz, the two examples of beautiful basketball that we have seen over the last couple of years. One has Steph Curry and the other one has Donovan Mitchell. And Donovan Mitchell's leading the league in usage because every fucking possession that the Utah Jazz run, it's Donovan Mitchell high pick and roll. It's you need advantage creators. So I don't want to suggest that Thibs should be this kind of magician that concocts things out of nowhere. But to say that there aren't slight adjustments that can be made, is also probably being wrong. What's your grade? So we can move on from this lovely topic.
I'm giving him a C this year.
Oh, wow. Okay. So there you go.
Yeah,
that's about right. Congratulations, Tom. You're passing. Okay. Well, on that note, you want to give out some game balls?
Sure. Let's do it.
So this is, again, someone we want to highlight or give credit to for their performance or analysis this week. Some candidates. I like how Andrew has listed 4 candidates here. Actually, I'm only going to list 3 of them, or I'm going to name 3 of them. RJ Barrett had 32 points versus Indy, along with the buzzer beater versus Boston. Evan Fournier, 41 points versus Boston. Julius Randle with a very strong game in Indiana, and then a decent game against Boston in the first game. Yes. Thank you, Andrew. Can I say what is happening right now?
Just go for it.
No, you can't.
Okay,
no, you can't say what's happening right now. There's a 4th name, John. You missed it. Who is it?
Andrew Claudio, as I'm reading the names, just typed in a 4th name, which is my answer. And it's Emmanuel Quickley. Emmanuel Quickley is getting my game ball because I'm not giving it to RJ Barrett because he had I thought, a pretty terrible 2 games against Boston. All due respect to his last 90 seconds in the game at MSG. I'm not giving it to Julius Randle because of everything that we talked about before. I'm not giving it to Evan Fournier because he missed one game, and the game before he went off for 41, he was fucking terrible. So Immanuel Quickley, he had an amazing game in his first start, or his second start of the year, actually, against Boston in the Boston Garden, or whatever the hell they call it now, TD Bank. And he's the Knicks' safest commodity this year. And I say that, in knowing that like it probably was Derrick Rose before Derrick Rose got injured, but now Derrick Rose has been out for, again, it's going on a third of the season. Alec Burks, Immanuel Quickley this week the last game passed Alec Burks in effective field goal percentage for the year, which is like, it's pretty crazy when you consider like the hot streak that Burks has been on and how cold Immanuel Quickley has been at times during the season. Quickley's passed him. And he's miles ahead of Randle and RJ. So yeah, Immanuel Quickley, congratulations. You get my game ball.
Yeah, he is the only candidate I can really think of that is that deserving, considering just the level of play that has been around for the whole week. I mean, you could say Burks, but Burks was pretty miserable inside of the arc for a lot of he was able to make things happen in the Boston game, the first one, but it's not like things really went well. Can't give it to Julius. I guess you could. I'll give it to RJ. Begrudgingly, I will give it to RJ because of the fact that he did score 32 points against the Pacers. He did have a remarkable buzzer beater. Didn't look great in either of the Boston games, but you're not going to have a perfect record. So I guess I will give it to RJ.
I was giving you the layup. I'll go to Andrew. Andrew, do you have a game ball of the week?
I'm not putting Julius Randle in.
No, our last entry.
I didn't want to be vain, but Andrew can go for it.
So our last entry is playback because what happened the other night is a career highlight for me. And as we exchanged over text, it's a career highlight for the three of us. And it also is up there for like one of the coolest moments in Knicks history. And as a Knicks fan, getting to experience it on playback with all of our patrons was so cool. And we just want to give a shout out to playback for making all that possible. They also were like, this is a company highlight for us. This is like the reason we started this company is for moments like this. And so it's proof of concept for them. So anybody that wants to join us on playback for the game on Wednesday against the Mavericks, head on over to our Patreon and sign up because you're going to want to hear us watch along and slander KP while Luka's doing stuff,
That's going to be.
I'll be in person. I won't be able to slander him with you.
We got to find a third, John. Maybe this is when we finally get.
And also, just quickly, shout out to Rich for recording that, because if he didn't, none of this would have been coming to light. So thank you, Rich.
Shout out Rich McLeod, fellow Mets fan and Jets fan, Rich McLeod.
Shout out Rich. That's gonna be fun. I'm looking forward to that game. A shout out to Theo Pinson, got a two-way contract from the Mavs. So good job by you. Detention, player, coach, media personality, we think needs to be locked in a room, no food, no bread, water, and vitamin pills. That's all you get. No windows, solitary confinement. I don't know. Am I allowed to put Julius Randle in detention? I mean, am I going to get the old thumbs down? Am I going to get the old Commodus?
Hopefully.
Can you put Julius?
Jeremy, sorry.
Well, yeah. Can you put Julius in detention if he himself has put himself in detention?
Mental detention.
Yeah.
Can I I give him credit. The ball's on the guy to do what he did and then go out there and shoot 6 for fucking 19 with 1 turnover for every assist. And boy, let me tell you, some of those turnovers, oh boy, I rewatched them today. Not what you want. I'll just say that he has had a year from hell. And I don't know what I really don't know what he's going through. And like on a serious note, I hope he's okay. Like he's not in a good place right now. And I hope he's okay. And I'm a little, let me say one real quick thing. I'm a little bothered by, and I'm worried / bothered by this. Rebecca Harlow reported in his first game back that Julius told her that he used the time to get away and clear his head, right? I believe those are the words. It doesn't look like you cleared your head. It looks like you doubled down on whatever was going on in your head. And that has not worked. So I hope for his sake, hope for my sake, because I want to root for a fun team again and a fun player. I hope he figures it out, but he's getting my detention for this week.
Hey, that's fair. For my detention, it's a tough one. So, well, you'd mentioned Theo Pinson. I'm not going to put the people who told me that Theo Pinson can't be signed to a 2-way contract this past summer into detention. I'm just going to be petty and say that I knew what I was talking about. I'm not going to put you in detention, John, for
now what do I do
for RJ and the whole discourse. But I do actually. I want to ask you a question though.
Sure.
I'm going to hold your feet to the fire for a moment. So the most fascinating thing that stuck out in what you wrote, and I want to be honest, you put thought into it. So I disagree with how, what you said. I
remember what the hell I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, no, I'm just saying generally for your newsletter, for your RJ newsletter.
What did I write about RJ in the newsletter?
Well, no, his contract situation.
Oh, the contract discussion. Yeah. Sure. Yeah. Okay.
Again, well, I've come to a similar conclusion in terms of the money. To me, it feels like having the wrong formula, but coming to the right answer, or at least close to it. But the most interesting thing that I picked up on was you said it was like your gut reaction, or your whatever thought was that the Charlie Ward curse is broken by IQ and not RJ.
Yeah.
So
I stand by that.
That's fine. But then by just deducing from that, you are inherently saying then that RJ, in your mind, in your gut, will be traded before 2024.
I don't think RJ is going to be here long term. No.
I understand. I respect the long term part, but that's why I'm saying holding your feet to the fire.
Yeah, I think he's going to be traded before his next contract.
Interesting. That's all I want to know.
Yeah,
perfect. You're not in detention for that. I wanted to
listen. If he signs an extension and he plays game one on that extension, we can have Andrew. Why don't you earmark this clip and we could replay it back and we could all have a good old laugh session at Mr. Macri here. But yeah, I'm standing by that. I don't think he plays game one of the, what is it? Hold on. 2022, 22, 23, 23, 24 season. Yeah. I don't think he plays game one of that season here.
We don't have to go back and laugh. I just wanted to get a firm understanding of where you're coming from. So thank you.
That is where I am coming from.
Fair enough. Again, like I can't put Fournier there because it felt like the good, the bad, and the ugly of like that. That was his whole week in my mind. It was very Jekyll and Hyde. But so I get like Mitchell Robinson's listed. I guess you could say Mitch, but at the same time, it's this was a very not great week for him. I think it was tweeted out from the KFS account that he had 3 blocks on Christmas Day in his last 6.
Five. I think 5 on Christmas, 3 since.
3 in the last 6. So he's clearly struggling, which isn't great. And also when you play against Time Lord and he looks that good and you're like, well, Mitch is not looking like that. And that sucks, but what are you going to do? I struggle with the idea of him doing it, of him being in detention, but I'm trying to think of who else it would be because I don't want to say RJ Barrett is in detention.
I mean, you could do the same player as me. You could put Randle in detention.
I know, but I want to
put Thibs in detention. I wouldn't begrudge you.
We just talked about Thibs. It's sort of thing. So I'm going to put the people in the media that turned the Julius Randle story into a Julius Randle story into detention. I recognize you have a job and it is your responsibility to report on this instance. It is more like a certain tabloid, one tabloid, which I thought did a great job of editorializing this whole situation.
Just call it out. Steph Bondy wrote a wonderful piece. I love it. Was my favorite thing I've read in Knicks land this year, if not, this week, if not this year.
Yes. It's another one that just felt like wedging a divide.
We don't need to talk about that.
Looking for drama when there was actually a good win. And speaking of journalism, I do just want to say, because there's a piece that came out from Jake Fisher this past week, which didn't say a whole lot. But we did learn something fascinating in terms of he wrote that Thibs was the one who wanted Fournier. Now, the thing is that is a direct contrast in a lot of ways of the fact that the front office was allegedly the one, right, that wanted, at least that was what was reported initially. Not that Thibs wasn't in favor of getting someone.
Yeah.
You know, we wanted like a Bogdanovich type.
Yeah.
But it seemed like this was Thibs being the driving force behind it, based on what was written in this article, at least. It just was fascinating to me, based on the fact that, and it was pointed out by, I don't have his username moment, but John D, basically saying like, this feels like the Knicks distancing themselves away from Fournier. And I still don't think that the Knicks will trade Fournier this year, but I got to say, I feel it's more likely that they do than I did before, based on kind of distancing themselves. Like, it's very easy to say, Thibs, take the fall on this. It helps you because if we get him out of here, so be it. It just seemed like a very easy thing to kind of put out there. I did also look, and I'm sure you've probably seen this too. The biggest thing for me with Fournier, again, he's not being used like Reggie Bullock because it's not the same percentage of catch and shoot of his shot diet, but it's still up there. It's around 38%. It's really what's killing Fournier is the percentage around the rim and in the paint. Like in shots less than 10 feet, he is at some of his worst his entire career. And if you raise that, then you start to see everything else elevate. You see the points, you see the field goal percentage, you see the true shooting, but it doesn't. It doesn't really matter because he's still just not doing it.
I'm gonna change my answer.
Sure.
To Fournier. Fournier gets my detention. You know why? Because, and I said this, I think after the game, and I had forgotten since then because I'm old. That game against the Celtics was a reminder that he has this in him. He has this in him. And he just, whether it's because this is a pissing match, whether this is because of the Kemba benching, whether this is something with Julius, whether this is something with Thibs, like, he took their money and like, I think he has abdicated his responsibility to be what this team needed. I think they're going to get rid of him at the first opportunity that they can without making an irresponsible decision, which is fair. By definition means that they will not do so at the first opportunity they can, because I'm sure they can get rid of him today if they wanted to, but the front office is not going to operate that way. Okay. Predictions, man, how the mighty have fallen. Took my lead. I got a little bit of a big head. Yeah.
John, I saw a pretty funny joke on the internet.
Oh my God.
Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Owen.
Owen who?
Owen 3.
Great.
Well done.
Thank you.
Well done, Jeremy.
Look, in my defense, you took 1 and 2, which I would have taken.
Mm-hmm.
This team got down early to Indiana, who didn't have fucking anybody. And then they got down 25 to Boston. And then Boston shit the bed. And then they got down 25 again to Boston and lost by 24. So again, it speaks to our conversation at the beginning of the show. I don't feel great about this team right now. Anyway.
Well, shit in one hand, wish in the other. See which fills up first.
It's great. There are 3 games this week. They play the Spurs at home, the Mavericks at home, which is our playback game, as you said, Andrew. And then the Hawks on the road. The Hawks, I saw, were losing to the Clippers before. I'm not sure if they lost tonight. Talk about a team that's not in a great way. And if you want to feel better about yourself, go check out Hawks Twitter. How do you like, by the way, their GM going on the radio and being like, yeah, I guess I fucked up by bringing all these guys back this year.
I think it's objectively hilarious, but it's also, funny, here's the thing. Knicks fans have so often said, like, we want to hear from the people. We want it in charge. You really want to hear Leon Rose get on the radio and air out grievances and basically be like, I'm not doing my job well? Yeah. No, let the team speak for itself. We can see, Travis Schlenk, that it's not happening.
Yeah. And I said, oh my God, because the Clippers behind Amir Coffey. That's not the traditional spelling of coffee. Coffey.
Mm-hmm.
And his 21 points. My goodness gracious, the Hawks are in not a good place. Anyway, okay.
How many assists did Trae Young have?
7.
Oh, fuck.
That's
He had 19.
Did you prize picks for him?
Yeah, over 9.5.
8 of 21 from the field for Trae Young. Kevin Huerter, 4 of 12. John Collins, 3 of 9. It's just not what you want right now for Atlanta. And that is who they end the week with in Atlanta. Sure enough, now that I've gone on that diatribe, they'll lose that game. But you go first. What do you think?
So it's pretty fascinating. On our Twitter account, it was posed earlier about what fans think the Knicks record will be for these 3 games. 2-1 and 1-2. Sure, go ahead.
I guess that.
And keep in mind, there's
40,
3-0 and 0-3.
40. So there were 4 answer choices.
Mm-hmm.
I guess in the high 30s voted for 2-1. I would guess in like the low 30s voted for 1-2, and then give or take, a few percentage points, about 10% each about 15% each. Sorry, for 3-0 and 0-3.
So as of right now, there have been 470 votes.
Okay.
10% for 0-3.
Okay.
15% for 3-0. So you got those hit those on the head. 2-1 at 37%. 1-2 at 38%.
Okay, so I wasn't that far off.
You weren't, but it just goes to show how close fans are for 1-2 or 2-1.
Okay.
So
you're going to take 2-1.
I'm actually going to take 1-2.
Wow.
Well, here's the thing. I don't know how we can talk about how negative we feel about this team and things aren't trending in the right direction, even though we've seen wins. Yeah. And then I take 2-1. So
you're putting me in the same position as last week.
I am. And this time the Knicks will go 0-3 if you pick 2-1. Just keep that in mind.
I think they beat the Spurs at home. I'm going to say that right now. I think they beat the Spurs at home. Kemba's questionable and Fournier is questionable for that game, which means fucking nothing because Derrick Rose was listed as questionable for like 2 weeks and then he had surgery. You're right. I'm gonna pick 2-1. They're gonna go 0-3. Thank you for that. Sure. Okay. So 2-1. Got that, Andrew?
Got it. I'm just glad you didn't take 0-3 again. I mean, I should take 0-3.
This is the easy part, though.
What?
Like, it's more likely that they'll luck into 2 wins than go 0-3.
I don't know about that. Here's the thing. I think I would be very surprised if they lost all 3 of these games. And if they did lose all 3 of these games and their record fell to, what are they right now? 19-21?
Yeah.
If they fell to 19-24, that would not be good.
I think what I'm saying is it's more likely that they'll probably go 1-2 this week as this team has played all season. They were literally like 3 bounces away from going 1-2 last week. I just think like the possibility of them going 0-3 is a bottoming out that I don't think, barring injury, will happen.
Keep in mind also, I will be at one of these games and they lose whenever I see them play.
That's the game I can see them losing. I just see them winning the other 2 is the thing.
Potentially. Spurs did pretty well against Brooklyn. Again, I know Brooklyn's a shell of themselves right now, but I hope that you are correct. Same as how you hoped I was correct last week.
I hope that I'm correct too. Okay. Producer's Corner. Traditionally, this is a time where Andrew springs something on us, but Jeremy and I think we've cooked up a little something for you, Andrew, this week.
So I should just throw this out and get rid of it, whatever I have.
Oh, no. We'll get to that.
We'll get to whatever you have. But
all right, cool. So I am all ears then.
So first and foremost, I want to give a big shout out, a really big shout out to all of our fans listening from the land down under in Australia, where last week Andrew made the egregious error of forgetting that, or not knowing that the capital of Australia was not Sydney, but Canberra. I hope I pronounced
Canberra.
That. Canberra. Yes. Yes. Oh, that's right. Canberra. We talked about this. Andrew, did you want to say something?
First of all, no one corrected me on the pod last week either.
We just didn't want to make you feel bad in the moment. That's all that was.
Thank you guys for waiting until now to make me feel bad about it.
This isn't. Listen, we're not here to talk about the past. We are here though to
Okay, Mark McGuire.
to talk about the future of this great world of ours, and we want to have a little fun. So, Jeremy, can I turn it over to you?
Sure. Well, listen, we wanted to give you a shot of redemption, right?
Oh no. Okay.
So here's the thing, Andrew. I found 10 countries,
Okay.
and their accompanying capitals, and just we'll say the countries, you say the capitals. It's that easy. I will say, we'll give you one hint. You can take one hint for them.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, it's we'll see how you do. And we didn't make this too difficult. I mean, I could have found some really obscure countries, and I really didn't want to do that to you. So there's some tricky ones mixed in there, but we'll see how it goes. So, John, why don't you take it from the top with the first country?
Okay. So again, we're not trying to make this too hard for you. So let's start off with a simple one. So what is the capital of Brazil?
Oh, no. Start from the top.
The very top.
Very top.
Very top.
Yeah, well,
so don't say what I think the capital of Brazil is.
No, don't say what you think the capital of Brazil is. Hold on one sec here.
Okay.
All right. The very top of our text message, right?
No. On the document I sent you.
Oh, you sent me a document?
I did send you a document.
Okay. Oh, that's what you were doing before.
That's what I was doing before.
There you go. Here we go. Okay, great. Okay. So first one. Here we go. You ready, Andrew?
Ready.
All right. What's the capital of Canada?
Toronto. No, it's Toronto.
Is that your final answer?
Oh my God, I dated a Canadian. I should know this. No, the state capital is.
Well, it's not the state capital. It's the national capital.
The national capital. If it's not Toronto, it's Montreal. So I'll go Toronto.
Well, how about this? We'll give you credit for either Toronto or Montreal, which means you get no credit because it's Ottawa.
It's Ottawa. Okay. There you go.
Good try, though.
I don't know the capital. Yes, I've clearly, through a lot of therapy, erased that portion of my memory. So thank you for that.
And apologies to our neighbors of the north, of course.
Yes. No, you owe me an apology, neighbors to the north. That's all I'm going to say about that. Go ahead, though. Okay. Ottawa.
Thailand.
No, I couldn't name a city in Thailand.
There was a movie, part of the Hangover franchise. Takes place here.
Is Bangkok the capital of Thailand?
Bangkok is that's it. Congratulations, you got one. So you're one for two right now. Okay,
even with a hint.
I'll give you a free hint on that one.
Thank you.
Get a jail free card.
Next one, capital of Lebanon.
I repeat my response to the last question.
Okay, we'll give you a
city in Lebanon.
We'll give you a hint. This is also the capital of Lebanon is also the name of a drinking game involving cups and balls.
Beer pong. Wait, what? Is the capital of Lebanon beer pong?
There was a movie made about this city. I believe it starred George Clooney. Is that right, John?
Oh my goodness.
Syriana?
Oh no, that's the wrong one. Then never mind. It was not this one.
All
right. I'll put the two. I'll take there. It's a 2-syllable word. First word is the last name of the worst signing in Mets history.
There's a long list there.
I know there is.
Something Bay.
Okay.
There you go. Yes.
And then it's the second word.
Is it Bombay?
No. Bay is the first one. The second one is what is at the bottom of a tree?
Root.
Okay.
Root Bay. Beirut.
There you go.
The John Hamm movie.
Okay.
That's what you think of. The John
Hamm. Okay.
Yeah.
There we go.
There you go.
So I hear the movie guy, not me.
You're up, Jeremy.
Why I'm not the Capitals guy. I'll tell you that.
What is the capital of Singapore?
No clue.
Take a wild guess.
Turkey's a country. Never mind.
Turkey is a country.
The capital of Singapore
is Singabetter. I have no idea.
You're close there.
I'm surprised you didn't say Singa-Rich, but
yeah,
it's not Singa-Rich.
All right, what is it?
It is Singapore.
Is it? Wait, is Singapore
the capital of Singapore is Singapore?
So it's like in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma.
Well, no, it'd be like if Oklahoma were the capital of Oklahoma.
Gotcha.
Okay, this is a really easy one. What is the capital of Scotland?
This is an easy one.
It should be.
Guys, you found my weak spot. I have no idea. What is
it? Okay, I don't even know what the hint would be for this. Yeah, I don't think there's a hit. It's Edinburgh.
I gotta be honest, never heard of that place.
Okay, well now,
yeah,
there we go.
Edinburgh. It's
Edinburgh.
It's
so
like
it's just like Australia.
Fun fact: my family, although I'm not Scottish, my Russian family did live in Edinburgh for quite a while.
You say it very well. I got to tell you that.
Or I don't. I'm sure someone from Scotland will listen.
No, I think it's good.
I apologize to your Scottish family for not knowing the capital of Scotland.
This next one is just too hard, I feel like. So I'm gonna call an audible instead and say different country.
Because you guys saw how bad I am with these capitals.
I did.
Go ahead.
What is the capital of? Well, it's Czechia now, but Czech Republic.
This used to be Yugoslavia, right?
It used to be Czechoslovakia.
It used to be Czechoslovakia. Then it split into the Czech Republic.
Yes.
And
see, you know stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I know this. I didn't know where a single city in Czech Republic.
You do, because you have seen the first Mission Impossible movie.
Oh, but that's such a long time ago, Jeremy.
Well, the city still exists,
right? But I haven't been there. Okay.
It's a great city. It's beautiful.
I will take another L here. I have no idea.
It's Prague.
Oh, really? That's in Czech Republic?
Yes, it is.
Oh,
I was going to say, just for record,
thought that was in like Spain or something. Okay.
No. I was going to say Djibouti because Djibouti is also the capital of Djibouti, but decided to wipe that one clean.
Can we get back to Brazil? I think I know that one.
We're almost there. We're almost back to it.
John, if you want to take that, if you want to flip the next.
Yeah, sure. Let's do that. So the capital of Brazil, what is it?
Is it Rio?
That's a great guess. That's a really good guess. It is
wrong.
It is incorrect. The capital of Brazil is Brazil.
Wait. Do we? Okay. Well, I was going to say if we want.
I was never going to get it right, Jeremy.
That's fair. That's fair. The capital of Chile.
Cookout. I got nothing.
Give you a hint. Mets left-handed pitcher that they signed in 2019, I believe.
Into
last name
2019 lefties.
Yeah.
Okay, who the Mets signed in 2019? Did
they sign him to a minor league deal?
Oh, then
the Mets are the last team he played for. I think he's more well known for when he was with the White Sox and the Angels, maybe the Twins.
Why am I blanking on? Oh, what's that dude's name? Oh my God. This now became personal. Okay. He was like so bad for them too. And then I'm legit. This is going to ruin my week. All right. What's the answer?
Jeremy?
Santiago.
Yes. Hector Santiago. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. So I believe we are
2 away.
How many does Andrew have right now?
One? I got one with a hint, and it was
one with. That's okay.
Yeah,
that's fine. Okay. Next up,
Bangkok and Beirut. I kind of.
So you got two. So you may still surpass Julius Randle's shooting percentage from his last game. The capital of Denmark,
Copenhagen.
They didn't even need the hint.
Yeah, it was fantastic.
That's really good. Good work by you.
Thank you.
Now this to get over that shooting percentage, I think.
Pulled that one out of my ass. Jeez.
Spain.
I should know this. The capital of Spain is. Oh wow! Do I really not know? Madrid. There you go.
Boom.
Okay. I had to go through.
Well done.
I knew it. Okay.
Well done.
Good sport. Did well.
Yeah, 40. I think 40% is pretty good there.
So you gave me 10 and I got 4, right?
Yeah.
Okay. No, London. London's the capital of England, right?
Yeah. Why would we give you an easy one like that?
Because you guys made it seem like all these were going to be stuff you should know, and these are stuff I did not know.
Okay, now it's your turn. If you want to, I don't know what you have in store for us. What's your producer's corner?
I mean, it is topical with the buzzer beater that happened this week. I did a little research on buzzer beaters and didn't realize I should have been doing some research on nation capitals. But, hindsight's 2020, apparently. First of all, do you guys know how many buzzer beaters there have been in NBA history?
NBA history?
Yeah, just so ballpark, and I'll throw out a number and I'll tell you higher or lower.
100.
More.
300.
350.
More.
700.
1,000?
More. Less than 1,000.
Oh, wow.
But more.
872.
Lower.
789.
Closest. 798.
Ooh.
Wow.
Yes. RJ Barrett's was the 798th buzzer beater.
So it's like
NBA history.
11 per season. That's not a lot.
Yes. So
or 11 or 12 per season.
I mean, Jeremy, you're a baseball fan too, kind of. John, the buzzer beater is like a no-hitter.
No-hitter, yeah.
You get like 4 or 5 a year. They're unique, and you remember almost all of them because when they happen, it's like, oh, I need to see like how it happened. So as far as the Knicks go, RJ Barrett hit the 42nd in Knicks history.
Wow.
And the 10th of the 21st century. So I thought
10th Knicks buzzer beater of the 21st century.
Yes. So I thought I'd whip out another game of I Know the Knicks and see if you guys can name all the Knicks who have hit buzzer beaters in the 21st century. Now, I will say it's happened 10 times, but by 9 players. One guy did it twice, and I'm pretty sure that gives it away. But John, age before beauty, you get to go first.
This is what you get, by the way, John.
Yes.
I'll go David Lee.
David Lee is one. Buzzer beater against Charlotte with 0.1 second left. And J.R. Smith, Jeremy, that got it. He only counts for one, but he's the one that hit 2 buzzer beaters back to back in 2 games in December of 2012-13.
There was no time on the clock against Toronto on Valentine's Day, Jeremy Lin.
No, there was time on the clock.
There was time on the clock?
Yes.
Shit.
So that's 1 strike for John. Jeremy.
How many strikes do I get? 3?
3 strikes and you're out.
So there's a player I have in mind.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have the dates in front of you as well?
Yes, I do.
During 2006, there's a player I have in mind, but I feel like that guy, there was still time left on the clock.
Okay. So here's the thing. I'll give you guys a collective hint. John said one of the ones from that season, but during the 06-07 season, the Knicks had 3.
3. Okay.
Interesting.
Yes. Jamal Crawford.
Jamal Crawford hit the first one of this century.
That's the good guess.
Buzzer beater in Houston with the Knicks down 2.
Does Jeremy go again or do I go?
No, you go.
You go.
I'll go with Carmelo Anthony.
Carmelo Anthony never did it as a Knick. A buzzer beater. He had a lot of big shots in the final 5 seconds, but none that ever as time expired.
Okay. Strike 2 for me. Jeremy?
Strike 2 for you. I will say the one thing I was impressed by is I remember all of these, which again, I was watching this rather than studying up on my country capitals. Apparently.
That's fair. This isn't a geography pod.
No,
it should be.
It's probably why I ended up here and not on Jeopardy.
Nate Robinson.
Correct. He did it during the Larry Brown season. Allen Iverson hit a 3 to tie it. And then Nate Robinson came down the court on a pass from Stephon Marbury and hit a buzzer beater for a Knick win in overtime over the Sixers.
They didn't have one last season, I don't think.
They did not. Again, you guys have listed. Well, technically, Jeremy.
I don't see. This is my memory's shit when it comes to this stuff.
Hold on a second. Your memory wasn't shit when you were dunking on me for all the the Knicks this past summer.
No, I remember like stats. I don't remember moments as much.
So I should say RJ Barrett's on this list. Obviously, I'm crossing him out because it just happened. So that makes it actually 8 players have done it 9 times, which you guys have mentioned David Lee, J.R. Smith, Nate Robinson, and Jamal Crawford. There are 4 left.
Amari Stoudemire.
Would have been a buzzer beater had he gotten it off with 1/10 of a second earlier.
I figured maybe there was one.
Fortunately, it didn't. So John is out. Jeremy, can you name the other three?
Well, you already won, Jeremy, but yeah.
You did, but can you name the other four? Can you name the other four?
I can tell you someone who's not on the list, but who should be on the list if his fingertips were this much off the ball, and Kristaps Porzingis against the Hornets,
Charlotte.
But was not meant to be. I'm going to say Stephon Marbury.
Stephon Marbury, a layup at the buzzer. Darren Williams hit a jumper to give the Jazz a 1-point lead. David Lee outlet to Stephon Marbury. He ran the entire court and able to lay it in at the buzzer for the win. As one of Isaiah Thomas's early games as head coach during that season.
Okay.
And that was only the beginning. Everything went better from there.
That is now two. That happened also like 3 weeks before the David Lee game, which is now the second of the 3 buzzer beaters during that season.
Interesting. So we've said David Lee, Stephon Marbury, Jamal Crawford,
J.R. Smith, Nate Robinson, and R.J. Barrett. There's 3 left.
3 left.
And I'll give some hints. One guy was drafted by the Knicks. The other 2 were mid-season trades.
Oh, I know one.
Well, you had your chance. Drafted by the Knicks. The others were not.
Again, this is Knicks players in the 21st century that have hit a buzzer beater.
It's hard because all the Knicks players who have been drafted seem to be traded or fail.
The one that hit, you're going to be, if you weren't there, then I'm not shocked that you don't remember it. But it was actually a nationally televised game and he hit it. And it was
tough.
It was
the one who was drafted by the Knicks?
Yes. And it was a putback. That's the other part. It wasn't a jump shot. It was a putback for the win.
All right. Ronaldo Balkman.
Incorrect. Strike one.
Okay. Drafted by the Knicks. Long litany of guys who are okay.
I think we're at the point where I'll give you the year. It was 2005 that he did this in April of 2005.
So this isn't the player because he wasn't technically drafted. Well, I got Eddie Curry.
Incorrect. That's strike two.
And then I guess I've already won. So Michael Sweeney.
Michael Sweeney is the answer. Hit a buzzer beater against the Pacers. He put back on a rebound to give the Knicks a 1-point win over the Pacers.
Can I guess the
Market Square Arena? I'll let John back in real quick.
Don't remember that at all. Did Steve Francis hit one against the Wizards?
Yeah, Steve Francis hit a buzzer beater. That's the third of that season. And then there's one more. That's
where he got up on the scorers table because they were like, he got them into a tie for 8th or something. I remember that game. I remember because it actually had meaning. I don't remember all these other ones because they fucking came in losing seasons. One more from a player they acquired at midseason.
Yes, it happened during the 04-05 season. And it was a weird buzzer beater where it was like the Kawhi one against the Sixers, where it went off the front rim and hit like the top of the backboard and then hit the back iron and then fell through. And he was like not even proud that it went in and that they won.
Was it 04-05?
04-05.
Quentin Richardson?
Nope.
I'm glad you said it because I was wondering if it might be too rich.
Happened in February of 2005 against the Charlotte Hornets.
No idea.
Okay. It was Tim Thomas.
Oh wow. God.
Yeah.
Wipe that guy from my memory.
Yes,
Fugazi. Fugazi.
So those are the 9 Knicks that have done it. And then a fun one. I thought you guys might actually be better at these. But there's only 10 players in the 5-time buzzer beater club. And they're all the guys because they played while we were all alive.
5 guys in
10 players in the 5-timers club. So they've made at least 5 buzzer beaters in their career, regular season and playoffs.
Well, Kobe Bryant.
That's one.
Jordan.
Those are the top 2. Kobe hit 8. MJ hit 9. Reggie's not on the list. LeBron has 7. Durant's not on the list. He has 4.
Wow.
Curry?
Not on the list.
Larry Bird?
Not on the list.
Also not in my lifetime.
Wow. Oh, yeah. Sorry. I'm old. Tracy McGrady?
Not on the list.
Interesting.
Yeah. In fact, I'm
I'm
going
trying to think like big shot guys.
Yeah, I'm going to go through and double check. So Barkley had 3. Steph Curry. Is this real? Has never hit a buzzer beater. Wow.
Dude, that's nuts.
So there you go.
I'm trying, man. I have no idea.
Thompson hitting. This guy Klay Thompson taking the last shot. John.
I don't remember things like this. Who were the players? Tell us.
Okay, so Joe Johnson has 8.
Oh wow.
Paul Pierce has 7, or had 7. Here's the most wild one. Andre Iguodala, shout out Max Kellerman, had 5. Dwayne Wade had 5. Gilbert Arenas had 5. Vince Carter had 5, and last but not least, Kevin Garnett had 5.
Okay.
That's the buzzer beater club. Yeah,
it's pretty good. That's a good stat. It's nice. I like that.
This is the research I did rather than, what was the capital of Denmark? Although that's the one I knew, ironically.
I wouldn't have known Denmark.
Yes.
Okay.
I think I remember the city named Copenhagen, and that's like one you don't forget. It's a fun.
Yeah, but I wouldn't have remembered its capital, Denmark. Okay, a bunch of idiots we are. Andrew, anything else before we go?
Should I say it for? Okay, so I got this news during the pod. I don't know.
Yeah, I just saw it.
You saw it too? Okay, so Bob Saget passed away. So
I did not see that.
I'm still kind of processing it, whether it's like worth a eulogy or not, as far as like what he meant to. Like, I watched America's Funniest Home Videos. I watched Full and Fuller House, liked one of them. And he was also like a really funny comedian that I enjoyed, and best wishes to his family and those that were his fans. I join you in mourning this loss,
Certainly a very unique figure in pop culture over the last 35 years.
Yeah.
So
voice of Ted and How I Met Your Mother.
How I Met Your Mother. Good call, Jeremy.
Yeah. I will. It's funny because I grew up on Full House.
Mm-hmm.
And I also watched a lot of America's Funniest Home Videos. And I don't know why, but the two things that will stand out for me for him were, you remember the comedy special about the joke, The Aristocrats?
No, I don't.
Oh God.
Jeremy does.
That joke is...
I should probably.
I don't know the special.
No,
I know the joke.
I'll look it up after.
You shouldn't. His appearance on that special stands out for me. And also he did a stand-up special that was a big deal. It was, was it 10 years ago? Was it 15 years ago? It was a while ago, but it was like, it felt like, for me at least, the first time I realized that he was this, like, he had this like just filthy alter ego, like aside from his, Danny Tanner side. And it was just one of the funniest things I've ever seen. So yeah, rest in peace, Bob Saget.
His Comedy Central roast
that's another
timer. Yeah,
that's a good one.
You had Uncle Jesse as the roast master, and that's where you got to see a lot of the raunchy humor that came out there. His episodes of Curb also stand out to me as highlights.
Never saw him.
Yeah, he's there's, as far as like things I'm gonna go to now to remember Bob Saget, it's obviously gonna be the Full House stuff and probably some episodes of How I Met Your Mother to refresh my memory with that. But yeah, like you said, a unique path that he carved in the industry, and one that I won't forget for sure.
When did Full House come out?
The 90s. So like I want to say like 89 because it ran along the same time as Fresh Prince, I think.
So it came out in 1987.
87. So like 87 to, was it a full 10 years?
8 seasons.
8 seasons. So
it was 2022. So that means he outlived his wife in that show by a full 35 years.
There you go.
Nice job. Bob Saget. Jeremy, anything else before we go?
No, that'll be all from me. Other than I'll just, gloat privately about my wins today and this past week.
There you go. I'll add a positive if we want to wrap this up on a positive.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Pastor Claudio was behind the pulpit today. He's out of quarantine.
Hey,
there you
Perfect.
go. Thank you on behalf of the Claudio family for all your thoughts and well wishes and prayers. He appreciates them, and I obviously appreciate them as well.
Most importantly, yes.
Mhm.
Man, Jodie Sweetin.
You were a Stephanie guy?
Oh, yes.
Oh.
Was I ever?
Growing up a religious kid in Long Island, DJ Tanner is like Kirk Cameron's sister. They were like a power couple in our circle. So
Really?
yeah.
No, I was Stephanie Tanner.
Nah, I was very big DJ Tanner. But like I'm not gonna say like you're wrong, you're stupid, you know?
Stephanie Tanner and then Topanga.
That's a whole different category. Yes.
Different category.
Topanga's on a different level than all of these. I'm sorry.
I mean, listen, I love me some Topanga, but I think you're speaking down to Jodie Sweetin here.
Isn't Topanga married to the guy who did the shrimp cinnamon toast crunch cereal thing?
Is he?
I think
I have
so.
no idea.
Do you remember that?
I don't.
Now we're just talking about various.
Now we're yeah.
The whole Twitter thing where the guy found shrimp in his cinnamon toast crunch last year, and it was this whole saga. And
I don't remember that.
And then he got milkshake ducked. Do you know what milkshake ducked is, John?
No.
So there's this tweet where it's like, everyone loves milkshake duck. Milkshake duck is great. He's a duck that drinks milkshake. And then it's like, they find out later, we regret to inform you that milkshake duck is a racist. There's a side to milkshake duck that is clearly not good. That's what happened, I believe, to him. And I'm pretty sure he is married to the actress who played Topanga.
Oh, actually, I looked up Jodie Sweetin instead. It's like, wait, Stephanie did what? Hold on. Topanga. That's Danielle something.
Fisher,
right?
is it? Or something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who is it? Danielle who?
Danielle
Fishel.
Fishel.
That's what
there you go.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
Yeah, she's married to Jensen Karp, who was the guy who I believe found the shrimp.
Is there any relation between the carp and the shrimp?
There's not, but that was certainly broached.
You're telling me that's a coincidence?
No,
you gotta be kidding me. This dude's last name was Karp, and there's
come on
shrimp.
now.
Yeah,
I'm gonna guess Danielle Fishel is 42 years old.
You'd be
wrong.
She's wrong.
No, it's born 1981.
She's 40. Yeah, it's 20.
Oh, she's 40 on the dot.
Yeah,
I added wrong. She was born 2 years and 5 days before me.
Yes.
Is this even a Knicks pod anymore?
Nope. It's a
cool.
The Days of Our Lives pod apparently now.
Jensen Karp.
Jensen Karp, yeah.
With a K.
Mm-hmm. Like the Pokemon.
Stage name Hot Carl.
Magikarp. Good. Good reference there.
Wow. Okay. Well, this is a good way to honor Bob Saget by ending on this fucking shit show of a whirlwind of topics. Everybody out there, thanks so much for checking out another episode of Full House and Boy Meets World. Make sure and what?
And geography.
Yes. And where in the world is Andrew Claudio? Be sure to leave a great rating and review on wherever you get your podcast, because clearly you love listening to this motherfucker. We'll be back with you with more fun and games this week. Peace out.
Like Denzel in Flight.